India's advanced light helicopter, the Dhruv, is the pride of Indian manufacturing. It is the indigenously designed, developed and manufactured backbone of the three services, the Army, Navy and the Air Force and the Coast Guard. All of these services operate 330 Dhruvs. Now all 330 machines have been grounded since the crash of a Coast Guard Dhruv in Porbandar airport on the 3rd of January. The Dhruv was not part of the Republic Day flypast this year, and the Air Force's Sarang Aerobatics team, which flies the Dhruv, won't be participating in the Aero India in Bengaluru next week. What is the future of this machine? Joining me to discuss this are two senior IAF veterans and former helicopter pilots, Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur and Air Commodore Ashutosh Lal. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. Air Marshal Bahadur, I want to start by referring to this report in the Hindustan Times today, which attributes the crash to a faulty swash plate. Could you explain to our viewers what a swash plate is and why would this defect be significant? If this is indeed the case, why the Dhruv crashed in Porbandar airport?
Thank you, Sandeep, for getting me in. And this is a topic that needs to be addressed and is being addressed, it appears.
Yes.
With all the gravitas that is required. The swash plate, the pilot has got a cyclic, which he moves forward, back, left, right, and a collective for going up and down. So these are connected with four rods that go and meet something which is called a fixed swash plate.
Right.
And this swash plate thereafter has got rods connecting to the rotors. To change the angle, it changes the lift produced by each rotor. Now it appears that one of these two swash plates, most probably I believe it is the swash plate at the bottom that has got some defect. Something appears to be broken. Now what's broken or what's the defect is not given in that Hindustan Times report.
Right.
But it very clearly says that there is a damage there. Because if this breaks or any of the lugs break, or any damage happens to the swash plate, then the pilot loses control.
Right.
And that is what actually happened in the Porbandar accident, because the reports say that the aircraft literally nosedived from 200 feet above ground where he was hovering. So that's how important the swash plate is. Right. It is, like a person who is driving and you break his steering wheel tie rod.
Right.
Now he has got no control.
Absolutely.
This is exactly what must have happened there.
Right. This is exactly what's happened there, and it's really alarming indeed. But Air Commodore Lal, as a experienced helicopter pilot yourself, tell us how serious this defect is, and would it be just this one machine, or could it have occurred in other machines as well? Because there are reports that there have been this loss of control in other ALH Dhruvs that crashed recently as well.
So, Sandy, thank you very much for having me on your show, and my regards to Bahadur sir. Let me try and put across, because I did some bit of a research on this actually, and try and find out exactly how much more information can we get about this. The prognosis as it is emerging right now is about swash plate. That is very true. The paradox is that I think it's a challenge for the people who are investigating it and trying to figure it out actually, that there are swash plates which have crossed some thousands of hours of the same batch.
Yes.
Are okay. And this is a swash plate which has taken a bit of a crack. So there is some talk of a development of a crack from inwards. Now, once again, I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to try and sound too knowledgeable on this whole entire issue actually. The fact of the matter is that there is a peculiarity of this swash plate which led to its failure. Is it to do with its life? It's to do with its ability to withstand the stress and the strains of that kind of a magnitude which Bahadur explained. If the aeroplane is weighing about 5.7 tons, that is the amount of weight which is sustained on the swash plate.
Right.
And when you maneuver the aircraft, you weigh more than 1 G. So obviously at 2 G, that aircraft becomes twice. And remember, ALH is a helicopter which is cleared for 3 G.
Yes.
And we remember during our testing times, turning at those binding turns to try and figure it out to 3G and do those chest points, which was quite difficult for itself. So that is the kind of stress and strain which is subjected to these rotating and non-rotating swash plates. Uh, Having said that, is it right to link? I mean, do we have a clear-cut link of this to the controllability issue because of which the control rods were changed? Yet to be established. So this is where I think the report flavors it that it's a sort of a new find
Right.
for the investigation team to figure it out actually what has gone wrong. But for sure, there is no doubt in our minds that there is a key here, and this is the swash plate which has got a crack on the inside. Why it has happened, that crack has developed, and why it has given the kind of a failure that it has been seen is yet to be determined, and I'm sure it is being determined right now. Just
Yes.
that we don't have the information from outside.
Absolutely.
It's not right for me to.
We don't have enough information yet. But, Air Marshal Bahadur, the fact is that the ALH is grounded. It's almost unprecedented that all 330 machines across the 4 services are grounded. And, you're looking at a time when the military desperately needs new machines because you have the Chetak and the Cheetahs, which need to be replaced. They have to be phased out. They're already aging. And then you have a defect with your prime helicopter, the ALH Dhruv. How critical is it for us to fix these defects? You've outlined it as well in some of your articles on what we need to do post-haste with this investigation.
As you said in your introduction, Sandeep, that 330 machines are down, are grounded. We must also remember that the light combat helicopter, Prachand,
Yes.
has the same transmission system as the ALH. So I suppose that is also down. Both these machines are the future of the helicopter fleet of the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy, as well as the Coast Guard. The Prachand is going to form the major component of the attack helicopter fleet.
Right.
So that's the importance. The Army aviation is mostly now ALH.
Right.
So it's absolutely urgent, imperative that we find a reason and a cogent reason before things go out of hand, in the sense that there is another emergency somewhere.
Right.
We sort out somewhere, someplace, and the emergency happens somewhere else.
Yes.
Like this. If it is a swash plate problem, then from the article it appears that this is the first time that this has happened.
Right.
And as Air Commodore Lal pointed out, that the same batch, thousands of hours have been flown by the swash plates of the same batch, and nothing has happened. So why has it happened this time? We must not have any inhibitions in contacting anyone,
Right.
in India or abroad, to get to the root cause.
Absolutely.
Whether it is academia, or there are specialists abroad, or from our own internal industry. Why has this problem happened? Because we are talking of a big mass of helicopters, and
Yes.
obviously the services are suffering.
Right, absolutely. And as you've correctly pointed out, Air Marshal, the fact that a lot is literally riding on this machine, and the future of the Indian helicopter programs, all our indigenous helicopter programs are tied to this one, which is why this crash is really important. But, Air Commodore Lal, there have been previous crashes of the ALH Dhruv as well. Was there any particular set of crashes that, called for a design change in the machine itself, which possibly outlined the fact that we had to change something in the design for it to be safe again?
Certainly, so it's important that we understand it in a little larger context. Let me try and put this across in a different way. Within the HL, there is a rotary wing research and design bureau, which does the designing part of it, which does the entire planning part of it. Then it gets prototyped, it gets tested, and it passes out from there and moves on to the production aspect. So there is a separate setup, GM Production, who handles this entire thing. He productionizes the specifications which have come out over there. Let me share it with your viewers that the integrated dynamic system, as against the conventional MGB, main gearbox and tail gearbox kind of a thing, which is there in other helicopters, this design has something called an integrated dynamic system, IDS. IDS has been the fulcrum of this aeroplane in the sense that it has been designed, redesigned through the prototype phase several amount of times.
Right.
The material has changed, the thickness has changed. There's so much of changes have taken place that iteration has gone. I will pause here. In the Aero India is parked F-35.
Yes.
Not doing a display. Why? Alaska.
Right.
I don't even want to tell you that the CV-22, the Osprey,
Yes.
not flying anymore actually, which is still because of the big problem of their design in the drivetrain.
Right.
Now those designers are at a different curve of their performance.
Yes.
Okay? They've already had several successful machines with them.
Yes.
And they have gone through this process. And
Right.
yet they are facing this problem.
Right.
Our designer, our engineer designer chair and the production house here has got this problem in its ab initio. 1986 perhaps is when the SQRs were written, and Bahadur sir was part of the entire process.
Absolutely.
And he led it practically, it was his baby that way. So it has happened that way. In that process, the whole thing has gone through. So please, let's take a step back and understand that we have a large challenge at hand. Unfortunately, before this, I must mention, it was just last year, 23-24, when we had done a full design review of this helicopter.
Right.
Nothing of this sort had come. That is when it was again established. All those series of accidents because of control, pitch operating arms and everything else which are attributed to, they were all reviewed. This happened 23-24, just the last year.
Right.
And here's the surprise that has been sprung on us. So please, the challenge is huge on us. That is one part. I again don't go to the numbers, but I can safely say that about 50% of the fleet of our armed forces is down right now. Again, an unacceptable, huge problem.
Right.
Let me tell you, when the squadrons are down, when the fleets are down, the pilots are not training, the planners, the operation planners have got their hands full. They don't know when will they recover and how will they recover the currency and everything else. Because that's a huge challenge by itself. There's a capability gap which comes in when the fleet is down. And I have seen this practically because this is not the first time a chair machine has gone down. Would you recall HPT-32?
Yes, of course. The piston trainer.
Yes. It happened on my watch. I was the person instrumental who faced that crash, and he had to put it down. But that was a trading fleet which could be easily handpicked and replaced by.
Here you're looking at transport aircraft, you're looking at gunships, you're looking at maritime search aircraft, all of that. Yeah.
All I am trying to bring to your viewers this complexity as to how do we meet this challenge.
Yes.
I know for sure in the journey what has happened. There have been many incidences and people have said. There's one very peculiar angle that I must bring to your notice, that there is an aircraft producer, a designer who's got a wonderful machine. As it has been said, the aircraft can hover at 16,000 feet, carry 200 kgs to 19,000 feet, 20,000 feet.
Yes.
It's practically that the Jersey cow which can run the Derby as well.
Yes.
All right. So please understand that we made a wonderful machine like that. All right. But the challenges which have come through have been innumerable.
Right.
And is there a need for us to sit back once again, even at the behest? Somebody will take this cost and effect balance. Somebody will take a call on this actually. I'm sure there must be a team of people who are doing this. Is there a need for us to step back once again and do one more, perhaps if required, a very thorough investigation and to try and go that? Is there a possibility of fitting these swash plates in a little bit of misalignment, which can eccentrically produce that kind of a stress, which can take to the failure? Don't know.
Right.
What is possible? Can it be fitted? Can it be misfitted? There are many methods of this entire engineering aspect takes place. From the design board of a designer, when it translates to the production house, there is a very stringent protocol which is to be followed.
Yes.
It is often been seen that way, that when it is being productionized, and we know that fact that our productionizing is not very of the quality which one would expect, and we need to perhaps move on that fact.
I think there are a lot of lessons, Air Commodore Lal, you've correctly pointed out there are a lot of lessons to be learned from this. And, Air Marshal Bahadur, could you put yourselves in the seat of the investigators who are looking at this very tragic accident? And of course, this is, as Air Commodore Lal mentioned, it is a crisis unlike any other crash, because you're looking at an entire helicopter fleet. Like he says, 50% of the helicopter fleet is grounded right now. So there is a lot of pressure right now on the investigation team to get not only produce the report but also recommend certain suggestions. Do you see a lot of course corrections now based on what the investigators now, recommend? Would there be a need to look at the swash plates, for instance, of all the machines of that particular vintage that are in the services?
As a crash investigator, a lot is riding on your professionalism and truthfulness,
Yes.
and your capability to get down to the brass tacks, to the last point. And I'm sure that the court of inquiry which has been convened, and I understand some specialists have been brought in even from the Air Force. So having said that, the court of inquiry team, the lead investigator, will make sure and should make sure that he is not in a hurry.
Right.
This is not the first time it's happened. I can count on my fingertips loss of control of at least 7 machines, 6 to 7 accidents attributed to pilot losing control.
Right.
So he has to get down to the bottom of it. The accident would have, created a big problem for the investigators, because you have to distinguish between pre-crash and post-crash condition. Did that swash plate problem happen before or after the crash? But there are technical tools available to distinguish whether it was pre-crash or post-crash.
Right.
Having said that, then as Commodore Lal pointed out, if the design is okay, then was the manufacturing correct?
Right.
Was the product coming out of the metal of the foundries and the design of the manufacturing area, was that as per the design? That's where the DGAQA comes in. So people right from the designer to the person who's checking equipment, each and every swash,
Right.
each and every swash plate, each and every control rod coming out, are our mechanisms for checking integrity and fidelity of every equipment coming out. Is it as per the designer? And finally, it comes to the maintainer, the technicians at the field level. So what I can tell you is that any design in which something can be fitted ulta is a bad design, plain and simple. Okay, so I think when it comes down to the field level, things are very streamlined and laid out.
Right.
Which way things have to be done.
Absolutely.
So let's wait. Let them take an extra 15 days, 20 days, whatever. Doesn't matter. Boeing 737 was down for almost 2 years.
Right. Absolutely.
But they've got the problem.
There's no rushing with this investigation, Air Marshal Bahadur, as you just pointed out, because a lot is riding on this particular investigation and the criticality of it. You just heard from Air Commodore Lal and Air Marshal Bahadur, the fact that the ALH Dhruv is the workhorse of the Indian Armed Forces, and we can only hope that it emerges from this chopper crisis as soon as possible. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on this issue.